good evening. Now I'm here to finish up on MSTY. I don't know why that menu is showing auto hide the ribbon. Yeah, that'll be better. It gives you more real estate to view. Okay, so what transpired with MSTY? I got some exciting stuff to kind of tell you. So this isn't it, but there were 3 trades, right? So instead of buy the call and sell the put, we closed out 10 contracts on our 1300 synthetic, sell 10 calls, buy to close 10 puts, and then we did 10 contracts. We also bought to close on the 1365. So let me go into the analysis. So we had already sold 14 here, right, at 32.5. So I simply moved the 10 that we closed here and left this as an open entry. So we were able to collect 14.4 out of the 32.5 portion on 10. Now, one could ask, well, why'd that close early? We're pretty far out of the money. I suspect it was the only place to do 10, from a 14. It's an oddity, but let's go before we go into the synthetics, let's go look at the weeklies. So we were moving up, right? I didn't even tell you this. So Mr. closed up at 1290. Well, let's go back and do that. Always jumping around, but such is life, right? So let's look at that May tab before we cover that one. So what did Mr. do? Well, it moved up 4.15%. It moved up from 1245 to 1297. Nice move. We got half, really more than half, probably 60 to 65%, and we moved up 2.69 to 30.95. To me, I think we're setting really good here. So the exciting news is to show you some deep dive technical analysis, 4 different charts, from 2 of them from one person and 2 others from independents, along with my own technical analysis. And things look pretty good for us here in BTC and hence MicroStrategy. Coin is still not performing the way BTC is, but Mr. is. So back to this minor transaction, right? We closed out 10, we collected some money, but clearly we only got a little bit less than half of something. It's small potatoes in the scheme of things. Now when we go to the weekly, right? So now you know these both moved up because I showed you. Well, what happened is we flew right by the 1280. Which in this weekly is the bulk of our weekly. So this is the first negative I've seen at all on MSTY, but it's minor in the scheme of things because we're trying to capture 2.8 million, right? And as of yesterday, we had captured a small portion of that. Now we're losing on the 1280, such that a larger majority of this could lose money, right? This clearly, that's now 4, was 14. To me, that was reasonably safe, but one could argue with 3 trading days, if we keep moving up 50 points, we'll blow right by it. And they thought, well, we'll just buy 10 back, right? We were buying 10 of a synthetic. They need to buy 10 calls back somewhere to keep things balanced with this safety net. Right? Synthetic is a very bullish bet both ways, so you have a safety net in your weekly naked calls. So they took some synthetics off. They wanted to take an equal amount of shares in contract value off. These are reasonably safe. So in a perfect world, MSTY guys and girls, let's go back to 1280 and just hang there, 1280, 1282, and let's collect the bulk of the revenue this week. That's the perfect, what I call threading the needle in yin and yang, right? Because 2.7 of the 2.88 is all right there, right? and we're losing 91% because we ran right by it, right? So that's going to cost us money. We're going to lose some of our gain if we stay, not as much as right now because there's some time premium. So let's do the math. We collected 2.7 million, right? And we're only 17 above this number, right? Above 55, 125. So if we stayed right at 297, this is another teaching moment, people. So this at 1297, let's call this 18, right? So let me go change this to 18. That's all it would be Friday near closing if we were 297, right? And change, it would be 17 to 18 over. Okay. So all of a sudden, we have to buy back at 1697, right? But we still get to collect 33, right? We got paid 2708 and we get to keep 16, right? So that shows you when, if I do an undo up here, that'll take it back to 55. So that's showing time premium, because when you jump like that, you still got 3 trading days, and they love to keep high premium in there with a few days. So I want you to know, if we go back to 280, then we can assure we get all of this money, right? But even at 297, we'll get a much larger portion than right now. They're showing us giving back the 2.7 and paying 2.4 to do it. But 55 above 1280 is 1330, right? So we're in better shape than just that. But I wanted to alert you to that. Guess what? On our synthetic gain, we now lost. We've turned that into a small gain. So let's go look at the synthetic family. So here's what transpired, right? Now that we're up close to 1300, we had to actually, by closing a position, we had to pay 227 to buy that put back. But when we sold the call, we're up nearer that value, right? At the end of the day, they flipped. So now the call costs more than the put. But when we did this earlier, you know, we took our $659 loss and made it a 685. So, but what this is saying, this is our paper gain. We now have a 728,000 paper gain. These are all transactions that have been booked. Okay. So we're looking better on our synthetic. I mean, can you imagine if we go 1400, 1500, 1600, 1700 before 719? And it's very feasible that we start making a lot of money on our synthetics. So these guys have got to, if they see that breakout of 1400, they got to be really careful on their writing their naked calls and going out more like 15 to 20% on the weeklies. So let's look. These are the weeklies again. So here's what I did, guys. I want you to see. So we're still a little worried here, but let's take a look at what the charts are telling us, okay? So I updated the chart, and this stuff excites me. Sorry if it bores you, just move to my payment analysis. But you know what this does is nothing is perfect, but it gives you a high probability instead of hopium. Hopium is nothing but hope, right? This is an educated, logical, technical analysis of human psychology and how they react. Thus, they're called chart patterns, right? So when I was looking at this today, I said, oh my God, we got a little mini inverse head and shoulders, right? So I went and got it on Wikipedia and got a definition of it. I already knew what the definition was and what this technical analysis, but I thought I'd give you the chart. So what happens is you get a low in the middle, and you have a left shoulder and a right shoulder, and they call this the head. Now, you can have this turned upside down, and it can be a very bearish pattern, right? Where you got a left shoulder, you go up to a peak, you get a right shoulder. So what it says is the distance between the bottom of the head measured to the neckline is how far you're very likely to move up. So 14, now right now we have a slanted neckline, right? Slanting from 14 to about 13. So that puts it at about 1350. But if we go up here and go at all, you know, a little bit to the side, you can pretty much measure from almost 1,000, it might have been 1,020 to 1,400. You got 400 gain that you can expect once you break through 1,400. Now look, they showed the break and then a retest to the crime, right? That's very common also. But that's just a trading pattern. If you measure up here, this should be the same height as this is from the neckline. So anyway, that's positive. It could be forming an inverse head and shoulders pattern measuring up to 1,800 once through 1,400. So I took, to further help you guys, so what it's saying is when you see this pattern and it plays out to 1,400 and starts to move up, then it's confirmed the pattern, and this pattern is an indicative of a bullish reversal pattern. Because if you look at this, what do you see? You see nothing but down movement, right? Well, the fact that it's out of the down channel, this bull flag channel, which indicates it's likely to break up, and that's what we have. So who else and what other charts are pointing to 1,800? So I thought I would pull up some other stuff. And by the way, before you ask, well, how does that impact MSTY? Is MSTY likely to do that? So tomorrow I'm going to show you, but I'm going to tell you now. So I looked at the MSTY chart, and it's measuring up to 40.5 once it breaks through 33, its neckline level, right? It traded down to around 26.5. Its neckline is right around 33, so it's moving back. It's almost at 31. If it gets up to 33, just like this needs to get to 1,400 and breaks up, here comes 40.5 to 41. So you want to know where you are in MSTY? In my opinion, you're in a very attractive position here, right? The more we consolidate, but again, what you want is somewhat equal time on your shoulders. Doesn't have to resemble obviously it has to get to 1,400. But what you want is about the equal amount of trading days, equal time. So we're pretty close to that in the next 3, 4, 5 days, in my opinion. All right, let's go look. What is BTC saying about this? Since this is still trading pretty much in sympathy, and I did this for the, where are my charts here? They're almost like they disappeared from here, but I had them in both locations, guys. I apologize for that. You can go and look at my Coney video, and I go into these charts on BTC. There's 4 of them, but I'll go copy them because I put them in here and then I copied the folder over there, but it's looking like it moved the folder instead of just copied it, and I wanted it to move it. I wanted it to copy it. All right, so apologize on that. Let's finish up this. So what about holdings? So here's our gain, right? You can see it right there. 21 on our calls is bigger than 20.4 on our puts, which is what you want. You want a positive number here. All right, how are we doing on these weeklies? Well, I told you about that, right? The 55 million. We're hurting on that one. We've almost lost all of it and more. These guys were still capturing, right? Money, but this one, we're also negative because we had collected 68,000. Right now, it would cost us 126 to buy it back. But look at it, it's a 1310, right? So technically, if we stay below 1310, we're fine. We could eat it on this one. So back to the weeklies. Here's the ideal situation. we stay at 1280 and we collect all 2.8 million, right? If we're not going to do that, then the next biggest is 1310, but you're talking a small percentage of that money. All right, anything else on holdings? No. This is saying we're a little bit selling at a premium to the share count. It did move up. No, I take it back. It did not move up. Let's look. And our May tab, it stayed flat. Yeah, 42.25. No increase in shares, which again is a reminder, only if it's more than 25,000 share gain. They call them creation units. Okay. So we're all right on that. Let's talk about the payments tab. Let's talk about what's happening. Okay. So our weeklies have turned down now due to big rises in MicroStrategy. Well, whenever you get big rises in the underlying, you're going to do better in your synthetics, right? So we now have a paper profit. We had a $4 million, up from a $10 million loss last Friday, right? As early as last Friday, we showed 10 million. Now we have a 728,000 gain on a paper loss. So, paper losses, ultimately, you have to pay the piper, right? So that's not showing up in here. We got an $8 million gain, but that's a real gain that we've been paid. This, we could lose 2.8 of this, right? If we run too far too fast. So we could lose the big portion of this, but this is looking pretty good, right? This 8 million over here. And that run would put us up, that 700K would be up around 6 or 8 million in itself. So we could earn our money the hard way. We could earn it over here in synthetic. But always better to not have to do that, honestly. It's best if you can collect your weeklies, or a portion of your weeklies, and also get some on synthetic in time. So that's what I had. If you want to see those charts and the technical analysis that got me really excited beyond just the inverse head and shoulders. So I'm looking for a healthy payday here. Pretty excited about that in general. I won't take your time. I'll show you tomorrow on some of that for MSTY. Okay, again, this is Bruce signing out. I'm not a financial advisor. This is not for financial advice. It's for fun and education only. Okay, see you guys. Have a great day ahead. Bye.